now, Religion in the News, a report and comment on religious trends and events being covered by the media. This week's item is from MSNBC, August 15th, 2007, with the headline, Catholic Bishop Calls God Allah. The following are excerpts. A Roman Catholic bishop in the Netherlands has proposed people of all faiths refer to God as Allah to foster understanding, stoking an already heated debate on religious tolerance in a country with 1 million Muslims. Bishop Tiny Muskens told Dutch television on Monday that God did not mind what he was named and that in Indonesia, where Muskens spent 8 years, priests use the word Allah while celebrating Mass. Allah is a very beautiful word for God. Shouldn't we all say that from now on we will name God Allah? What does God care what we call him? It is our problem. A survey in the Netherlands' biggest-selling newspaper, De Telegraaf, found 92% of the more than 4,000 people polled disagreed with the bishop's view, which also drew ridicule. Sure, let's call God Allah. Let's then call a church a mosque and pray 5 times a day. Ramadan sounds like fun, Velmet Koppenhol wrote in a letter to the newspaper. Signs of tension had already surfaced in the last 2 weeks after the head of a committee for former Muslims was attacked and populist anti-immigration politician Geert Wilders called for the Quran to be banned. Some Dutch Muslims welcomed the bishop's comments as a valuable gesture of support coming just days after Wilders branded the Quran a fascist book in the vein of Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf, which legitimizes violence. Wilders, whose new party won 9 seats out of the 150 in Parliament in last November's election, said an attack by 2 Moroccans and a Somali on the head of a Dutch group for ex-Muslims had spurred him to write. Issues of immigration and integration had faded from the Dutch political agenda over the last year after a period of unprecedented social tension sparked by the 2004 murder of Theo van Gogh, a filmmaker critical of Islam, by a Muslim militant.
Dave, how clueless some people can be, especially, a man who claims to be a man of God. Doesn't he read the Bible? God does care about his own name.
Absolutely. I mean, he doesn't want to be called Baal. That was another heathen god. Allah is a contraction of Al-Ilah, which means the chief god. Allah was the chief god in the Kaaba, had about 360 idols in it, one for everybody that passed through Mecca. They made a lot of money off of this temple, off of this idol temple. Let's just put it in John 3:16. The Quran 16 times says God is not a father and he has no son. Mm-hmm. The Quran says if you believe in the Trinity, you go straight to hell. All right? Now, let's fit Allah in John 3:16. For Allah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Whoops, we got a problem. Allah is not a father and he has no son. And yet, Tom, it's not just this guy, this bishop, who seems a little bit wacko, but what about every Arabic translation of the Bible in the world that I've ever heard of uses Allah for God, because they try to say Allah is simply a generic term for God, like G-O-D in English, and Dios in Spanish, and so forth. No, Allah is the name of a God, and there is a generic term for God, and I just used it a moment ago, Ilah. Ilah you will find all through the Quran. In fact, the La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, that's the Arabic for saying there is no ilah but Allah. Ilah is a generic term for God. So this man is not so far out. Every Arabic translation of the Bible goes along with this fraud.
Right. Well, we could add to that, Allah historically has 3 daughters. So try to reconcile that with the God of the Bible.
No son but 3 daughters.
Right.
And Allah was a definite, there was an idol temple to, there was an idol in this Kaaba that represented Allah, the chief God in the Kaaba. So Tom, you see, when Muhammad had to flee Mecca to Medina, well, at that time it was called Yathrib. It was a Jewish town. He killed all the Jews, and it was renamed Medina, which means the city of the prophet. He's trying to convert the Christians and the Jews, whom the early parts of the Quran call the people of the book. And he's trying to tell them that Allah is the only true God. They know who Allah is. Allah is the chief God in the Kaaba. So they wouldn't buy that, and that's when he turned against them and began to kill them. And his dying words, by the way, were, "May Allah curse the Christians and the Jews," okay?
Dave, the encouraging thing about this article is that the people of the Netherlands, who have been through a lot, it mentions the death of Theo van Gogh, but there are 1 million Muslims in this small country, yet they're stepping up to the plate. Certainly 9 seats out of 150 in Parliament on the basis of this guy Wilders, I imagine that's how you pronounce his name. They are addressing some of these issues, and they're not backing away. I think that's good.
Yes, it is.
For more information about the Berean call us toll-free at our order number or visit our website